Score is tied here in the top of the 10th inning. The Angels have runners on first and second, and the dangerous veteran Bill Skowron coming up. Skowron swings with a drive hit to deep left center field. Carl Yastrzemski racing back, still going, dives, he's got it. A tremendous catch, and that saves 1 run and possibly 2. Carl, before you became a batting star in the big leagues, you were a fielding star as a left fielder. And I used to watch you make some remarkable catches behind the microphone and describe many throws you'd make to cut down runners on the bases. Actually, you broke in as an infielder, didn't you?
Yes, I did, Curt. My first year in the minor leagues, I played shortstop, and then I was switched to second base. Here again, the main thing for a youngster to work on as an infielder is control again of his arm. The reason why I was shifted to the outfield, because I couldn't control my arm. I had a tremendous arm, and I tried to throw everything hard. I wanted to impress everybody by how hard I could throw the ball. Therefore, I was erratic. I used to throw in the stands, in the dirt, things of this nature. So they had to shift me to the outfield. For an infielder, again, you don't have to throw the ball at top speed all the time to first base or second base or where have you making your throw. The main thing is to gain accuracy in your throws. Come up with the ball and gain accuracy in throwing.
Youngsters, maybe as at bat, when they're fielding, are afraid of that ball hopping up and hitting them in the face.
Well, there again, Curt, your reflexes again will take care of it. If a ball takes a bad hop and you're feeling, you naturally turn your face automatically, and the ball will either go by or hit you behind the neck or something in this nature where you won't be hurt. But you have to watch that ball right down to the last second when it's going into glove, and you should almost see the ball going into your glove in order to be an exceptional infielder.
I watch you in pregame drills. You work out at all positions in the infield, yet you play left field. Why do you do that?
Well, someday you may never know. You may be called on an emergency to come in and play a position, or at the latter part of my career, they might want me to play first base or third base or something of this nature. It also helps out my outfielding too, to field ground balls at third base. Therefore, I build up my confidence of catching ground balls. So when a tough situation is called for in the outfield, for me to charge a ball and make a quick play, it becomes almost a part of you. It's automatic. It's reflexes. And this is why I work out in the infield, especially around first and third base. Again, to say a youngster who plays first base, his main thing now is to catch ground balls. Also, to be able to pivot around first base, knowing what foot to put on the bag. This is what he practices on. And also making good throws to second base, good throws to third base, and things of this nature. Practice, practice, practice. This is what he has to do. A second baseman should practice on ground balls. He should practice on throwing over to first base, making perfect throws, to the shortstop on double plays. He should also practice on carrying his hand right by his glove. In other words, a second baseman uses 2 hands at all times. In other words, to make that double play, he has to go into that glove automatically. These are things he practices on. He practices around second base, making that double play. Things of this nature, going to his left and right. A shortstop, he has to hound the ball. He has to get rid of the ball quick, make it long throws. So he has to practice going into the holes. He has to practice making good throws at second base, quick throws at second base, good throws at first base. A third baseman now is going to take a little more time. He can have, say, a ball hit to him, he can knock it down, he can pick it up and still have time to throw a man out. He practices hitting the man's chest at all times. And if you will notice a catcher, when we're having infield practice, always throwing down to second base, Curt, and a lot of people think this is just an act or something of this nature. It's for one specific reason. A catcher makes throws down to second base because when he has to make it in a game, it becomes second nature to him. And he's trying to hit that bag at all times so the fielder can handle it and make the tag at the same time. The next time a youngster comes to see a professional ball game, watch where every throw is. Right at the letters, right at the letters, right at the letters, because this is the easiest position for any fielder to handle a ball at the letters.
What does an outfielder work on, and what should you be doing to be a good outfielder?
Well, the main thing for an outfielder, of course, is to get set in his position. An infielder can use the same stance. You're comfortable with your feet bent or low, and you both hands on each knee. And here again, you're up just a little bit on your toes. Make believe like you're almost going to fall on your face towards that feeling. This gives you that instant start where you can go either to your left or your right, and you're on your toes, and automatically your brain will tell you which way to go. But here again, you have to practice catching the ball with two hands. You have to shag fly balls at all times. You have to practice catching with two hands because when you have to make a throw, your hand is always in your glove that way. If you catch one hand, it looks fancy and everything else, but there again, it takes time for you to bring your hand up and take the ball out of the glove to make a throw. And if you get in the habit of catching the ball in one hand, say when you have to make a throw, which might mean a ball game, you most likely will fumble the ball and things of this nature. So make it become second nature to you. Learn how to use your glove to shield for the sun when you're playing baseball. In other words, if there's sun bothering you, when a fly ball is hit, always put your glove up by your face, up over your forehead to protect you from the sun and things of this nature. Throws, a youngster should develop by throwing overhand and holding the ball across the seams, because if you hold the ball with the seams, the ball will more or less sink. This is the way the pitchers hold it with the seams. But for an outfielder, you hold it across the seams and throw it on one hop to each base. In other words, you throw to second base, you always throw it on one hop, and you keep the ball down low where someone can cut it off. If you throw to third, same thing, one hop, and then home, one hop. If you try to throw in the air, you have a lot of problems because you might overthrow the man, and therefore there's extra bases taken and things of this nature. But an outfielder should always work on strengthening his arm, throwing the ball overhand, 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 because this gives you a rise in the distance on the ball. One of the persons who's responsible for helping me so much in my defense is Brooks Robinson. He is a fellow who told me, he said, Carl, if you're going to do something, practicing on your defense, do it as you would in a game situation. He said a lot of people like to work on hitting, they're strong at hitting, but forget about their feeling. So in other words, what he does now, he's a third baseman, he only takes about 25 ground balls a day. But he says when every one of those ground balls he takes, if he's going to throw to second base, he makes that good throw to second base. Even if he boots the ball, he pounces right after it, picks it up, and still makes the play for
Just like he's in a game.
Yes, just like he is in a game. Therefore, he says, in a game situation comes up, it's second nature to him. If he knocks the ball down and he goes to retrieve it and then goes to first base, he'll still make a good throw. And a lot of times you'll see big league ball players knock a ball down, pick it up, and they're lost. And this is the difference between a Brooks Robinson and a ordinary ball player. He works on his weaknesses at all times, and therefore he has become so good now that his defense is his strength is almost equal to his hitting.
As a good example of knowing the game situation, I remember Carl in that final game of the season at Fenway Park, the Red Sox against the Minnesota Twins. It was the 8th inning. The Red Sox had a 5-2 lead, but with 2 out, Harmon Killebrew and Tony Oliva singled, and the tying run came to the plate in the person of Bob Allison. Allison swings, slashes one down the left field line. That's heading in the corner, maybe good for extra bases. Killebrew's coming around to score. Yastrzemski digs the ball out of the corner, fires towards second. Here's the slide by Allison, and he's out. And the Red Sox are out of the inning on a great fielding play by Carl Yastrzemski. All right, let's say there's a young Yastrzemski listening to us right now. And he's very good at charging a ball, coming in on a fly ball, but he's weak on going back on a fly ball. That's what he should be working on, right?
That's right, Curt. In other words, he should have someone hit him fly balls all the time, back over his head, let him run back and try to catch him. If he's weak going to his left or right, work on it. If he's weak coming in on fly balls, work on it, fine. If he's weak on coming in on ground balls, he fumbles the ball at all times, work on coming in on ground balls and making your throws.
Now, you've always been an honest fellow with me in the big leagues, and I've kidded you. And as I said earlier, I've seen you develop over the years from a young rookie into a top star. You had a couple of weaknesses. I remember when you first came up with the Red Sox, you'd overthrow the cutoff man. Remember those big rainbow throws you throw in from left field, and the ball would sail over the cutoff man, go into home plate, and they'd take another base on it. Now, how did you curb yourself from doing that?
Well, it took a lot of work, Curt. During infield practice, whenever we'd have it during spring training, I'd work on throwing to the cutoff man. It's much easier to throw to the cutoff man. Of course, it looks better if you throw all the way in the air, and once out of every 10 times, the guy will be out, but you forget about the 9 times.
The crowd oohs and oh, what a great arm, but it isn't the thing to do.
No, it isn't, because you have to throw to that cutoff man in order to stop that other man from taking that extra base.
And speaking of taking an extra base, I have seen you at times take liberty on the bases and go for an extra base and get thrown out. The crowd would boo you at times. I think you always had the attitude, though, that you were playing on losers in these years, that you had to do something to force the opposition, right?
Well, you never see a conservative ball club win, Curt. I think the big change from the Red Sox from the past years to this year when we won the pennant is we became a ball club which took chances. We ran. We tried to go from first to third on base hits. We try to score on infield hits and things of this nature. And a lot of times we used to have the breaks go against us. They all went with us this year because we made our own breaks by taking these chances. And the big thing here again is when you're running the bases, or when you're throwing, or when you're catching a fly ball and a ground ball, know the game situation beforehand. Know what is going to happen. In other words, you sit in your position, say if you're a left fielder, there's a man on first base. You anticipate that ball being hit to you. And therefore, you're going to know what you're going to do with the ball. Say, in other words, if there's a man on first base, I'm thinking right now, well, Killebreau's up, he's a pull hitter. If he hits one down the line, if he gets by me, therefore, if that man on first is fast, he's going to score. My main objective is maybe try to hold Killebreau to single. If not, if he goes in for a double, well, don't let him get to third base. Throw that ball to the cutoff man. Or if there's a line drive hit out in front of me, if there's a fast man on first base, come up with the ball and hold him on second base real quick like. You have to know the game situation at all times. If you let your mind wander when a ball's hit to you, you won't know what to do with it, and therefore here's where your mental mistakes coming in. You overthrow the cutoff man because you see the guy trying to stretch that extra base, you didn't charge the ball hard enough and things of this nature.
The last few years has been more emphasis on base running again. Maury Wills, Campaneris, players like this, outstanding base stealers. And we're going now for records, base stealing records, the extra base. Running the bases has become important again in big league baseball, not just hitting home runs. Do you have some ideas on running the bases?
Yes, the main thing here again on running the bases is knowing what you can do. In other words, you don't see me stealing too many bases because I'm not that fast. I'm not like Campaneris. He's quick. They can start fast, or Wills. In other words, I have to look for a situation. I have to study how pitchers move and watch his pitches, maybe watch him pitch 1 or 2 times. And then if I see a certain pattern develop where he comes down to stop motion and maybe looks at the plate and delivers the ball at all times, I might be able to get a jump on him and steal a base. But you have to look for different things that different pitchers do, and if you find these things, you do it. But ordinarily, running bases is an art where a youngster should be able to take a lead off first base, whereas he can get back on a move. And if you take a lead off, say a normal lead, and if a pitcher throws over, and you get back in plenty of time, well, therefore you can get off a little longer. A youngster will learn this as he goes up in baseball. Of course, in Little League, I don't think they're allowed to lead off the bags, but in high school, now a youngster should start studying a pitcher already because now he's in competition, he's in baseball, he has to win, he should know how to win, and therefore he should get involved in this type of a game. If you can steal a base, this will help your ball club out.
What about sliding?
Sliding is probably the most natural thing in the world. A youngster, I can remember as a youngster sliding on the sidewalks and never coming up with any scrapes or anything like this. You just have to act natural, and I think there again, your brain and reflexes will take care of sliding. The only thing you don't want to do is worry about breaking the leg. Just go down and slide naturally, and there's no fear. If you try to guide yourself and you try to slide so you won't scrape your leg or anything of this nature, that's when you're going to run into trouble.
Carl, pitchers are trying to get you out up there at home plate. You have this constant war going on between the batter and the pitcher. Who is the toughest pitcher you've ever faced in your big league career?
I think the toughest pitcher I ever faced was Ed Whitey Ford of the Yankees. He was tough, not because he threw hard, or he had, say, a wicked curveball or anything of this nature. His main thing was changing speeds and a great assortment of pitches. In other words, he had 2 or 3 different curveballs. He threw them from different positions. He knew how to change speeds. He knew how to set up a hitter. In other words, he didn't have on his mind to go up and strike the hitter out. He said, I'm going to get the hitter out by making him hit a ground ball or getting him off stride. A lot of pitchers try to go up and they try to strike hitters out. These are the type of pitchers I like to hit against when they try to strike you out, because their ball is straight and all they do is try and overpower you. Sure, they might strike you out once or twice a game, but you'll hurt them also once or twice a game.
Who's the fastest pitcher you've ever faced?
The fastest I ever faced was Sam McDowell. I faced Koufax only once or twice in exhibition games, and of course the pitcher doesn't throw that hard in exhibition. He's saving himself for the season. So during the season, of course, being from American League, Sam McDowell when he first came up.
The youngsters hear all these kind of pitches. They don't get to see them themselves in a little league or baseball at the lower level, and they hear that the curveball Some people argue it's just an optical illusion that the ball doesn't curve at all. Does it curve?
I think it curves a better curve, but it certainly does curve, and it's something which a youngster has to learn not to be afraid of, a curveball. I did a little pitching myself in a little league, and I can remember throwing very few curveballs because of your arm. If you threw too many curveballs at a young age, you would hurt your arm. I was very fortunate, as a matter of fact, Kurt. I did hurt my arm when I was 13, 14, but because I was so young, it came back. And that was kind of a curveball. I used to throw that roundhouse curveball, and I used to try to throw it at the hitter and have it break over the plate. And of course, a lot of hitters would be scared seeing the ball come at them, and they would back up. This is what I'm talking about, staying in there, don't stepping into the bucket. Of course, now in the big leagues, the pitcher's curveball is a little bit different. It's a little shorter, a little quicker, it breaks down, and they go for the corners more or less. But it's an important pitch, and now you have the pitchers working on off speeds. In other words, they throw a curveball instead of just at one speed, three different speeds. A little, say, a slow one, one that's a little faster than a normal curveball.
The boys hear the term slider. You hit a slider for a home run, or he got you out on a slider, or that he got you out on a sinker ball. Could you explain those pitches to them?
Well, the slider, of course, is a pitch which comes into the plate at the same speed as a fastball, except it breaks about 1 inch, 1 or 2 inches. It's a quick break, and it breaks at the last second. I think what's made the slider so effective, Kurt, is night baseball. Under these lights, you cannot pick up the slider at all. The ball is a slight blur, and then just as you start your swing thinking it's a fastball, it breaks in on you. And this is one of the reasons why there are so many low batting averages, because of the slider in night baseball. During the daytime now, it's very easy to pick up the slider, and I love to hit off the slider during the daytime because you can pick up that spin so quickly. The sinker is a pitch now, instead of throwing the ball where a pitcher just rears back and throws the ball hard and tries to throw it by, and he holds the ball with the seam. And here, all he tries to do now is make the ball run away from the hitter. He doesn't try to throw the ball by the hitter. He tries to keep it right around the knees, and he tries to keep it on the outside part of the plate. This is why you see so many ground balls hit today and not too many balls up in the air, because it stands to reason if you keep the ball on the ground, the pitcher's not going to be hurt by home runs. And this is why you see so many pitchers nowadays who are successful are sinker ball pitchers.
Carl, what about a pitcher like Bob Gibson? He beat the Red Sox 3 times in the World Series. What makes Gibson so good?
Well, a pitcher like Gibson, he's a tremendous competitor. This is his main asset. Not only does he have good stuff and tremendous control, he's a great competitor. You know, Kurt, when that hitter steps into that batter's box, it's war. It's you against the pitcher. The coaches can't help you. The manager can't help you. Teammates can't help you. It's you against the pitcher. Here's a fellow now who didn't give in to me in the World Series. I had always heard Gibson threw overpowering hard. Now, when I first faced him, I was all set for that blazing fastball. He's going to try to throw the ball by me. Now I'm going for the home run. Oh, he's going to strike me out. But he didn't. He turned the ball over on me. He turned the ball over and kept the ball away from me. As I kept on looking for the fastball, he never gave it to me. Maybe threw a slider or a curveball down in the dirt, but his main pitches were out over the plate, down and away. And that's what I mean by being a great competitor. He did not give in at any time. Even when he was ahead sometimes 5 or 6 runs, he still turned the ball over, and he wasn't going to let me get on first base unless I got to base it off him on his pitch and not hitting my pitch.
And in the late innings, he seemed to battle all the harder. He may have been tireder, but he was really bearing down out there.
Yes, he was. He's a great competitor. I think the second game of the World Series, he won that shutout so bad. And this is one of the reasons why I tagged up and went to third base in that game in the World Series, because I figured if he was going to have to earn his shutout, we weren't going to give it to him. And he promptly struck the next man out and struck the third man out also.
You batters probably get to be as expert on pitching as the pitchers themselves, because actually that's your job to study the pitchers, isn't it?
Yes, it is. The main thing for a hitter, what you can do against the pitcher is learn what the pitcher will try to get him out on. In other words, say if we had a series against the Detroit Tigers, I'll use my old teammate Earl Wilson as an example. In other words, if Earl retired me on a slider, say with men on first and second late in the game, an important situation, I won't happen to look for that slider next time I face her unless it's in a key position. In other words, I'll look for his different pitches. But then in that key position, I'm almost positive that I'll get the slider, because He retired me on it last time I faced him, and now I'm going to have to prove to him I can hit that slider in a tough situation before he'll try it again on me.
What do you think about pitchers who throw at you or brush you back? That make you mad?
Well, it doesn't make you mad at all, Curt. It's part of the game. I know that my reflexes will take care of me. It's something which, as I interviewed Jim Bouton about the other day, and he said it's his living and he has to brush the hit away from the plate. You almost accept it. The thing that you don't like to see, though, is something throwing behind you, or the beanball, so-called, because that is...
Throwing it at your head.
That's right. It's not good sportsmanship anymore. It's not competition anymore. This is a person admitting defeat, and he's trying to injure you or get you out of the competition.
You remarked earlier that as a boy you pitched in Little League and hurt your arm. So I imagine you're aware that the youngsters better be careful with their pitching arms, right?
Yes, Curt. All youngsters should be careful at all ages because of the climate, especially in the East. If you're in Florida or something of this nature, you have to also be careful, even with the warm weather. After you start throwing a baseball and you work up a sweat and you finish, make sure you put on a jacket. First of all, when you are throwing, you should have a long sleeve sweatshirt on. Keep that arm warm, free of any drafts at all time. And then when you finish, put on a nice jacket to keep your arm even warmer. I can remember as a youngster going out and throwing balls with a t-shirt on, things of this nature, and not putting a sweatshirt on, and you used to have problems. And like I said earlier, I was very fortunate. My arm responded back, because if you have any type of ambition to play high school baseball or college baseball, you can't do it with a bad arm.
You should keep the muscles of the arm and shoulder and back warm at all times.
Yes.
What about youngsters throwing curveballs or knuckleballs or trick pitches?
A youngster should never do this. His main thing should be throwing a fastball and gaining control of that fastball. Now, once a pitcher can throw the fastball over the plate 9 out of 10 times, he has mastered the fastball. His arm is not set to throw curveballs, and these are actual doctor reports that have studied the situation, because of so many sore arms at young ages of pitchers in the big leagues. Their arm does not develop until 19, 20 years old. Therefore, this is when they should start throwing breaking balls. Up until then, throw the ball fast and throw the ball for control. Listen to your coaches, listen to your supervisors, and they will be giving you good advice, and they've been through it all, and they know what to do. So listen to whoever's instructing you at the time.
Carl, since you were a little boy, you always had the dream of being a big league baseball player. Now you are, and you're a big league baseball star. A lot of other youngsters around the country dream of being big leaguers. Major League Baseball, is a life as good as you thought it would be?
Yes, it is, Curt. It's fantastic being a Major League Baseball player. It's everything what I dreamed it would be, because here again, you're playing something which you love. You make a livelihood out of a game which is a lot of fun. You're doing something which you want to do. You're meeting people in the game who are great. You're meeting other ball players from all parts of the country, different religion, different races, things of this nature. And in sports, this is what is great, Curt. There isn't any race barrier, there isn't any religion barrier, anything of this. Everyone is treated equal, and this is why sports is great. In competition, it's they are equal with you, and I wish that this country today, everything could be done in sports, because there wouldn't be the problems that there are.
All right, Carl, let's sum it all up. Your tips that have helped carry you now to 2 American League batting championships and the Triple Crown of baseball.
Well, first, Curt, the most important thing I said is to use a good bat. Don't use too heavy a bat. Choke up on that bat, and make sure you make contact with the ball at all times. Hit that ball hard somewhere. Hit it with authority. Don't try to hit home runs, but try to hit a ball hard for a base hit. When you pick a stance, there's number 2. Make sure you're comfortable. Make sure your feet are spread. You have nice balance. Bend at the knees a little so you flex a little and have a nice stride. Keep your arms away from your body. Keep your hands loose and relaxed on that bat. Don't grip it too tight, because therefore you'll be trying to swing too hard. Nice and easy. Use the wrist and hands. Turn that shoulder in towards the pitcher. Have it tucked and turned in. This is where your strength comes from and your power. Stand deep in that batter's box. Let yourself have a little extra look at that fastball. Stand deep in the box. Watch the ball at all times. In other words, don't watch the pitcher's motion. Watch his hands and the ball at all times. when you make your stride in towards the baseball, stride right towards the pitcher. Don't step into the bucket, because this is where you lose all your power by stepping out on the ball. And finally, don't be afraid of getting hit by the baseball, because first of all, if you made the team and you're participating in any type of sport, you wouldn't be unless you had natural reflexes, and your reflexes will take care of getting out of the way of the pitch ball.
Carl, in broadcasting the Red Sox games, I can remember at times, a lot of fans can't right now after the big year you had, but there were times that the fans in your home park, Fenway Park in Boston, booed you. Did that bother you?
Well, naturally being booed bothered me, but there again, I think it's helped me to appreciate more what I received this year, because I wasn't a Mantle or an Aaron or a Mays or anyone like this. They had instant success. They came into the big leagues and were outstanding stars from their first year on. It took me 6 years to become a star. It took 6 years of hard work. It took years of swinging that lead bat. And I talked about when I swung when I was a youngster. I swung it during the winter time, also in my off season this past year and years before. And I used to swing and work hard every single day, and I had to work hard in spring training. But there again, it's all paid off, and it's paid off not because of God gave me ability and things of this nature. It paid off because I developed the ability that I had, and I developed through hard work. And I believe me, I worked hard, very hard.
Thank you, Carl, and congratulations. The year of the Yaz has been quite a story for all of us. Carl Yastrzemski always had natural ability. He became a big league baseball star, but still wasn't satisfied with himself. He decided to pay a little extra price. He worked all winter getting his body in better shape. He became a determined athlete with a burning desire to have that truly great year, and he did. Carl Yastrzemski has proven that whether you become a baseball player or whatever field you go into, that you can do even better than you yourself know.